Revenge films.
My name is Tina. I live with my husband Sean and my daughter Mia, and I have a full-time job. It's hard to work and take care of my daughter at the same time, but I put all my effort for my beloved family. My husband's parents live near our house, so we visit them occasionally. But my mother-in-law was very strict, and at first I was scared to even visit their house. But as I got to know her, I realized that she was being strict out of affection and love. After I gave birth to my daughter, "I'll take care of her, so get some sleep." She would often scold me like that for some reason, but it turns out she was worried that I wasn't getting enough sleep because of the baby crying in the night. So I was very happy when I heard about it from my father-in-law. According to my father-in-law, his wife was bad at expressing herself, and she would sound strict, but that means she actually cares for the person very much. Since then, I began to love my mother-in-law, and I no longer felt upset when she pointed out something sounding strict. But it seemed like my husband was misunderstanding that his mother disliked me. So when we have arguments, he would threaten me by saying,
"I'll have my mom scold you."
By the way, my husband acts like he's reliable in front of his parents. But when he's home, he makes me do all the housework and look after our daughter all by myself, although we both have full-time jobs. One day, when I was starting to feel frustrated about my life, we ended up having a big argument. After my work ended for the day, I went to pick up my daughter from kindergarten and went shopping before going home, but my daughter suddenly threw a tantrum. I prepared dinner while I calmed her down, and then my husband came home from work. Seeing me cuddle with my daughter who was crying and making a fuss while I cooked, he said,
"Dinner's not ready yet. I need my dinner ready when I come home. I'm tired from a long day at work."
I was having such a hard time, but who expected him to say something so mean? I got surprised, but at the same time, I was mad. But I didn't want to have an argument with him, so I was holding my frustration in as I cooked. "I'm sorry, I'll hurry up and cook dinner, so can you play with Mia?" Then my husband replied,
"It's the mom's job to look after the child. I'm exhausted, so I'm taking a bath first."
My frustration reached the limit. I've had enough. We both have a full-time job, so can't you be more cooperative? Then my husband replied,
"Are you sure? If I tell my mom you said that, she'll scold you again."
He was threatening me again. "I don't care. Do whatever you want." With those words, I stopped cooking and headed to my daughter's room with her. I was planning to go back to cooking after I calmed myself down and my anger went away, but I think I was tired and took a short nap. I woke up after about 30 minutes and went back to the living room, but my husband wasn't there. I waited for him with dinner ready on the table, but he didn't come back, although it was midnight already. He didn't answer my calls as well, so I was getting worried. But he finally came home just past 12 a.m. I smelled alcohol from him, so I asked, "Did you have dinner?"
"Of course, you lazy wife. You can't call yourself a wife if you don't cook for your husband and go to sleep. Get out of this house now."
Like that, he dumped all the dishes on the table into the garbage can, went to his bedroom, and slammed the door shut. While I was washing the dishes, his words were being replayed in my mind, and naturally, I was in tears. The next day, when I handed him his lunchbox as usual, he said,
"Have you reflected on your mistakes?"
At that moment, I got tired of everything, and I felt like I needed to keep a distance from him as soon as possible. But we had a daughter, so I couldn't just leave so easily. And it gave me a migraine thinking I had to prepare his dinner tonight again. That afternoon, when I went home after picking up my daughter, I found my husband there. When I asked, "Why are you here? Did work end early today?" he simply replied, "I got off early because I was irritated." And then he got out the bag with his lunchbox inside and threw out all the food randomly. The lunchbox was turned upside down while all the food was still in there, so the rice and the side dishes all fell onto the floor.
"I I didn't find my chopsticks inside. How am I supposed to eat?
He yelled at me, so I apologized. I'm sorry, I think I forgot.
How dare you forget to put the chopsticks inside? I'm leaving this house.
He left just like that. After staring at the food littered on the floor for a while, I told my daughter with a smile, "How about we visit Grandma?" Then my daughter also replied with a smile,
Yes!
An hour later, I left the littered lunchbox on the floor, packed our stuff, and left the house. My husband called. He spoke in a manner I could not imagine from the way he acted a while ago.
I'm sorry. Can you come to my parents' house, please?
He weakly asked. When I coldly refused, no, I'm going back to my parents' house.
You're going back to your parents? Wait, calm down.
He was starting to panic, so I copied what he would always tell me. I'm telling my parents about this, and hung up. It was about an hour drive from my house to my parents' house. But when I suddenly went home with my daughter, my parents asked me what happened, looking surprised. When I told them everything about what my husband did to me, my dad was furious and my mom was in tears. "It must have been so hard for you," she said, and gently hugged me, who had been emotionally injured. While I enjoyed my mom's cooking and spent some family time after a long time, the doorbell suddenly rang. When I said it might be my husband, my dad stood up and went to get the door. When he opened the door, we found my husband there just like I thought. His parents were standing next to him. My dad yelled,
Why are you here? Go home!
My husband got down on his knees and apologized. Apparently, he visited his parents' house and complained.
Tina doesn't deserve to be my wife. My dinner was delayed because she was looking after our daughter, and she even forgot to put in chopsticks with my lunchbox. Mom, you have to scold her.
At that moment, his mother slapped him in the face with great force. My husband apologized while he wept with a swollen cheek.
I'll never look down on you again, so please forgive me just this once, or else my parents will break relations with me.
He begged, but I didn't feel like forgiving my husband, and I doubted that he would change from the better from now on. I won't be going back home, so how about you clean the mess you made with the lunchbox alone? When I said that, "Tina, I'm very sorry. I didn't know anything about this." His mother started crying after she said that. Seeing his mother, who had a strong attitude, cry like this, "It's not your fault. I appreciate how you've been treating me with love, so please, don't apologize." After hearing this, she started crying even harder. I had them go home for the day, and I sent them the divorce papers a few days later. Then my mother-in-law called, and she told me that she demanded my husband to pay me compensation and give me all the property we owned as a married couple as a way to compensate for his harassment. His parents had told him that they'll break relations with him if I didn't forgive him, so he kept the promise and kicked him out of their family. My husband repeatedly apologized to me, and he begged for me to come back. But when I remembered the days I spent with him, I strongly felt that I'd never want to go back again. When I told him firmly that I never planned to go back, he looked upset, but seemed to give up with tears in his eyes. My husband lost his family, and because he gave me all our property, he had to live an isolated and poor life. Then he started to contact me by saying,
I want to meet our daughter.
But my parents never allowed him to. After I told him that we won't let him meet her until we can really see that he reflected on his past mistakes, he started working even harder and even paid us more child support than what we agreed on every month. I don't think I can forgive him anytime soon, but if I can really see that he reflected on his wrongdoings, I plan to let him meet my daughter. I haven't met up with my husband for the time being, but I occasionally go out to eat with my parents-in-law. My daughter also loves them, so she looks forward to meeting them. After I started living at my parents' house, I was feeling less tired with all the support my parents gave me, so I think I'll be able to live a happy life as a single mother.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.